All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Glenn Engelberg, and I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment for the GEM, or Global Energy Management Program, with the Business School at University of Colorado, Denver. We're excited to have you join us today for this webinar on the top 10 frequently most asked questions. The purpose of this webinar is to address really the critical topics that you want to know before deciding on a graduate program based on several years' experience that we have of discussing the program with prospective students from all different backgrounds. And I know when it comes to graduate school that you have a lot of questions about, what's the best program, which one's the right fit. So over the next about 20 to 30 minutes here, we're going to try to answer the 10 most frequently asked questions from prospective students to provide some helpful insight on that and give you the best perspective on balancing work and life and school, career advancement, MBA versus master's, so you can have all the details you need to make the best decision possible. And we've offered the GEM program for about 10 years or 20 cohorts here. And we have our 21st starting in July of 2019 this year, which we're really excited about. So with our experience here, we've literally worked with thousands of energy professionals that are looking to go back to school while also continuing to work. So we really understand the important needs and issues that are involved with that. And really, regardless of what energy sector that you're in or where you are in your energy career, this should be very helpful for you in terms of offering a lot of insight to help you make the best decision on graduate school for your needs and your goals. Before we go into the top 10 questions here, I'm going to go ahead and literally give a 1-minute overview of the GEM program just to give a quick perspective on how everything works here. And then myself and my fellow GEM colleague, Michele Motley, will do a quick introduction and go right into the questions. As you can see here with our program, it is first and foremost 100% energy focused. So it is through the business school like an MBA, however, it teaches all different energy fields from the renewable side, utilities, oil and gas, and on top of that too, our program is specifically customized for full-time working energy professionals, or even some that are looking to transition into the energy field. And with that, we have a hybrid online format that I'll talk about in a little bit here as one of those questions, but essentially it allows students to do our program from all across the country and even the world here. And with that, you can complete the program while still continuing to work full-time in only 18 months. And then right here, a couple pictures of Michele and myself. I'm going to go ahead and actually, since I've already done a quick introduction to me, I'm the Assistant Director of Recruitment here with the program. And essentially with that, I go ahead and work with all prospective students, whether it's the certificate options, the master's program that we have, and all on the front end with that to make sure the program's a good fit and help them along their journey. After students are accepted here, Michele uses all her great experience to assist them with the next steps, provide a lot of insight, and I'll actually be quiet right now and have her do a quick introduction here of herself, and then we'll get right into the questions.
Thanks, Glenn. As Glenn mentioned, I'm the Student Affairs Manager for the GEM program, and I've had the pleasure of working with the program now for over 7 years. And in my role, I really focus on retention and student success. So while Glenn is there for you as far as admissions, the application process, and getting you accepted into the program, I'm here once you're a student, and I'm here to make sure that you're successful and that you graduate the program. And then I have the opportunity to work with our Alumni Network as well. So you don't get rid of me after you graduate. I kind of continue that relationship, and we have a wonderful alumni association that I'll talk about a little bit later on in the webcast. But I love my job. I love working with students, and hopefully I'll get to see one of you as a student soon.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Michele. And right here, we will go ahead and get into our first of the most commonly asked questions. And the first question is, how is GEM different than a typical MBA? And there's a few different ways that GEM is different than a typical MBA. The first one is that it's 100% energy focused. So we really dive deep into how the business and leadership components work with utility fields, power, oil and gas, renewable fields like solar, biomass, wind. And with our program too, you also not just are learning 100% energy-focused content, but the people teaching it, our faculty, also have extensive experience in the energy field and are typically still working in it. So everything you're learning is very current. It's actual applicable examples. But the students you're learning with, which is a really, really unique part of it, are also, for the most part, energy professionals. In fact, usually about 75 to 80% work in the energy field from all across the country too, so you get a lot of great perspectives that you would not get otherwise. Lastly, just a quick story to illustrate really a difference between an MBA and the GEM program is that we had a student here recently, I'll leave his name out of it, but he recently transitioned from the oil and gas field to the renewable side. And he was talking specifically with me about this a couple weeks ago when I connected with him on how he was able to learn so much about different MPV models, a lot of unique regulatory structures, the terminology, and really how to applicably compare different energy sectors to make that transition from oil and gas to the renewable side, where in a traditional MBA program, you would really never get nearly that much in-depth information about it, and you wouldn't be able to make that transition. So that's just a quick example there of how much more in-depth we go in those components. Question 2 that we have here. Can you go ahead and explain how students are able to work full-time while completing the program? So there's a couple different ways we have this set up, but first and foremost, our program was designed in 2009 with the demographic in mind that our students are going to be working full-time, many of which have families too, while doing our program part-time simultaneously. So the first off, we have our cohort model set up that Michelle does such a wonderful job with for those weekends, where we will go ahead and have the first 4 days here on campus, but to help minimize time off work, it's a Friday through Monday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I know many of you in the energy field may even already be off on a Friday, or it's a little more of a relaxed day. So those first 4 days really set the foundation of the next 10 weeks of your classroom, because after those 4 days, the rest is an online environment where you can log in anytime of night or day, and it's really deadline driven too. So you can make it work around your schedule. And during those first 4 days here in person, you get a lot of the curriculum, some of the bigger assignments, all that information up front, so you can really plan ahead and come up with a game plan for that. Also, our online environment with Canvas is very user-friendly. There are several different video lectures that you'll get each week on top of different discussion forums and case studies, and we help you with that too during our initial cohort weekend to make sure you are set up for success. Question number 3. How is the curriculum energy focused? I know I touched on this a little bit before, but to kind of go back into a little more even on the faculty here and give a couple examples, our faculty, one of the valuable pieces, because they are working full-time and typically have at least 15 plus years of experience, they incorporate a lot of real life and recent examples of their workplace into the work that we do. As an example, we have an instructor who used to work at Excel Energy who will go ahead and get a lot of their different quarterly reports or balance sheets and hand them to the students, and of course any private information, all that stuff is crossed out, but use it as an example to be like, hey, if your CFO or your senior VP hands this to you, how do you interpret the cash flows? What about the different models here? How does this make sense? How do you dissect what's important versus what's not? So we do a lot of real life case studies and stuff like that from their actual workplace because they are working full time. They're in the heartbeat of what really matters, and that's one of the really exciting parts of it too. So that is one big way that it is energy focused. Also, as I mentioned, everything that you learn, whether it's in marketing, finance, policy, it's how does this work in the context of the energy field itself. Everything is with that in mind, whether it's one utility, oil and gas, renewable side. And lastly, I'll say too here and use a quick example, a lot of the projects and case studies that our students do, they go ahead and customize to their specific field. So for example, we had a student who graduated a couple of years ago, and she worked more on the oil and gas side, and with her consulting company, they were doing a strategic plan, and she wanted to use that as one of her final projects to go ahead and help them help really illustrate how is this going to work for her long term with the company. And actually, she did such a great job on it that the company is now using this as a big model for how their next 5 to 10 years of their strategic plan will be moving forward. And she's a big piece of that because of it. And I give that quick example because whether you're working for a wood company like Vestas or Anadarko, an oil and gas company, you can use actual examples into a lot of the case studies and projects you're doing to customize to the things that really matter to you. And our instructors are really great with helping with that. Question number 4. To be accepted into the GEM program, does it matter how much energy experience I have or what kind of bachelor's degree? I'll address the bachelor's degree first. It does not matter what bachelor's degree you have as long as you have one, and typically have done pretty well, usually around a 3.0. We have some students maybe a little less depending on some factors. But I'd say a lot of our students have backgrounds in finance, economics, engineering, but also we have some that maybe liberal arts, political science, kind of just accidentally found their way in energy but really love it and this is their career. So we do not require any specific background in terms of your bachelor's degree. In terms of energy experience, it's on a case-by-case basis. Usually we prefer students to have a little bit of energy experience for a couple of reasons. One is that way you know where you are in your career and how this program would fit into your long-term goals. And two, it goes ahead and it will help with the other students of the program, so we know that the majority have experience in the field that can collaborate more effectively. But with that being said, we have some who maybe just have a couple years of experience versus 10, but they have a very clear idea of what they want to do. They had a petroleum engineering degree, and they knew, from their time they were 19, this is my field, I know what I want to do and how this fits in. Or we have some that have no experience at all, but they have a parallel skill like project management or finance that they want to segue to the energy field. So those are just a couple examples with that here, and hopefully that is helpful. Question 5, what makes GEM unique versus other energy programs? All right, we're going to be here a while. Okay. So a few things. One is we have an unbelievable advisory council here. They actually met a couple weeks ago, and they represent companies and industries like the Canadian Consulate, Xcel Energy, NREL, Anadarko, all different fields here. And they're, high-level executives too, so they really are in the heartbeat of really what's important. And the reason why that's important to you as a prospective student here is because you know that we are, because they meet to go ahead and make sure that our curriculum and everything with the way the program is structured trickles down with the really important themes of what matters in today's energy field. I can't emphasize that enough. And since they meet quarterly on it, they are in tune with what's going on. They help influence a curriculum in a great way to make sure it's current and it's the most important content of what matters now, but also in the future, the skills that you will need not just now, but 5, 10, 15 years from now. Secondly, we have an executive in residence program, and I believe we're the only one to have this, where we will have also like a high-level executive that will come in here during those cohort weekends for a couple reasons. One is you can sign up for a one-on-one mentorship session with them to get some career advice, some mentoring, help with their network. Also, they will do a couple small group luncheons that you can touch base with them on. And 3, they'll do a couple guest lectures as well. But we've had several from different fields, like Yoon Lee is our current one, who's the director of Solar and Sustainable Energy at Panasonic. Our one following that will be Peter Mueller, who we're really excited about. He's was one of the former heads of the COGCC in the 2000s and is the current president and founder of EcoVapors. We've also had Teresa Madden, the former CFO of Xcel Energy. So all these different fields. And actually in terms of relationships too, just a kind of quick story on this. I know we had a student in California who connected with our executive in residence, of course, while they were here. And he actually started a company a couple of years back. And he actually reached out to the executive in residence after they were no longer, kind of like officially doing the cohorts here with their participation. But he wanted to go ahead and get some advice from that executive in residence because they'd experienced an entrepreneurship. So they connected a few times, actually about 5 or 6 or so, I believe. And actually their relationship, really grew to the point where now that former executive in residence is on this student's exec board for his new company. So you can really go ahead and utilize that type of mentorship and leadership too from them as well. A couple other very quick things. Our program's been around for 10 years or 20 cohorts. So we have a ton of experience and a lot of success in the program here with that, and we know what's important, and we've done it. And I'd say lastly here, in addition to teaching all different energy fields as well, it's in a hybrid online format that allows our students to work full-time while still going ahead and continuing our program and finishing in 18 months. All right, so question number 6, because I know you're probably sick of hearing me talk and want to hear Michelle. She's much more eloquent than I am, actually. So question number 6, is the GRE or GMAT required, and what is the rest of the application process like? So for the GRE or GMAT, it's required on a case-by-case basis. So if you have 5 or more years of energy experience, we actually waive the GMAT or GRE for you, so you don't have to worry about it. If you're in that gray area that we have of 3 to 5 years of energy experience, we have a GMAT waiver process that is pretty quick where you can apply for that to have that waived. If you are under 3 years of energy experience, we do require the GMAT or GRE. The only exception with that is if you already have a master's degree, then we automatically waive that regardless of your energy experience. In terms of the rest of the application process here, it's much different than your bachelor's degree where it's much quicker, much more of a guided process, and I would help out with that. But the things to know is that it usually takes about it can take about a couple weeks to finish your file. I've had some students recently do it in about 4 days, so depending on how motivated you are. And we get decisions back within about a week or so. So that's, as an example, we have our 21st cohort here starting in July, on July 12th actually, and we're literally going to be working with students until about a week before, like July 5th or 6th or so, because that's how quickly we can go ahead and turn that around because of our experience with the program being around for 10 plus years. And then lastly, for your application file, without going into too much detail, but just so you have a broader idea, there's an online application that you'll fill out, 2 recommendation letters, your resume, a short essay, and transcripts. So really nothing too difficult there. And as I mentioned, I would help out with that as well. All right, now because I need a drink of water, and I'm sure you want to hear Michelle talk a little bit too, she will go ahead and address questions number 7 through 10. And then briefly after that, I'm going to go over a couple of details about some upcoming events in the application process, and then we will be done. So without further ado, Michelle.
Thanks, Glenn. So question 7 is a question that we get all of the time, and it's basically how extensive is the GEM Alumni Network, and can this network help me with job opportunities, not only within Colorado, but out of state as well. We do have a lot of out-of-state students, international students, due to the hybrid online formats. We want to make sure that our students are successful in making those connections, regardless if they're in Colorado or not. So as I mentioned earlier, we formed a GEM Alumni Association in 2017, and it was formed by a group of alumni from all different cohorts who really wanted to bridge the gap between cohorts. So basically, you're going to start with your cohort group and you become very close with them because you progress throughout the program with that group. But there's a larger GEM community that we want you to be involved with, and that's where the Alumni Association comes in. So we have a wonderful alumni portal that we're very proud of. You have access to every single alumni of the program, every current student. You can look up alumni by state, by sector, by expertise, and you can contact them directly through the portal. And so it really makes it accessible for you to meet other people within the GEM community. And we've actually seen a lot of connections happen this way. A recent example is our alumni president, who is based in Arizona, got a job in Nebraska about 3 months ago, and that was because he started to network with alumni from different areas in the sector that he was interested in moving in. So he networked with alumni in Texas, on the East Coast, just to get their advice and be like, hey, this is a job that I'm applying for. I see that your background matches it. Can you help me prep for the interview and things like that? And was able to secure a new job. And again, it all happened out of state and through online connections. So it's definitely possible, and networking is such a big piece of the GEM program, and I know it's so important when you're deciding to go back to school that you don't just want the degree, you also want to make those connections. So that kind of goes into question number 8, which is what does the 4-day cohort weekend look like? And basically that's when all of our students come together. So we have 3 different cohorts that run at the same time, and they're taking different classes, but we try to do events around that weekend that give you an opportunity to meet with everybody in your cohorts. So I usually kick off those cohort weekends with an energy site tour the day before, and that way you have an opportunity to learn outside of the classroom and get to meet other cohort members that might not be in your particular group, as well as inviting faculty and alumni along and really getting that in-person connection. Then the weekend, which Glenn mentioned, is Friday through Monday. It's an intensive weekend. I like to say that it's a kickoff to that quarter, which is 10 weeks long, but it's much more than that. 2/3 of your instruction actually happens in person, and so you have the opportunity to really meet your professor, meet your fellow classmates, and really dive into the discussion of what that quarter is going to be like. I know that I look forward to, I know the entire administration looks forward to having all of our students come into town, faculty look forward to it, and students do too. It's a lot of work, but everyone's so excited to see each other again after 3 months of like communicating through video, Zoom, and email. They're like, oh, we finally get to see each other, we get to go grab lunch and dinner, and a lot of students after their last cohort weekend are really sad. They're like, we know cohort weekend was going on and we graduated and we're not going anymore. So it's really an opportunity to get to see everyone, make strong connections. We try to do events over that weekend too, as far as like go to a Rockies game or have a happy hour and invite alumni, get other people involved too, so you have that in-person connection. But the Alumni Network is really strong. We just voted on a new president that we're really excited about, and he has wonderful plans for this upcoming year, more professional development opportunities, and that is both in person and online. Again, we really want to focus on our out-of-state students and keeping them involved with the program. And there's a lot of different groups, alumni groups too, around that you can connect with in your state. So we're really trying to build that out more. So as far as question number 9, what are my options if I need to take a break or take a term off? So the program is designed for full-time working professionals for you to finish in 18 months, but we understand that life happens, and a lot of our students obviously are working full-time, they have families, they have personal obligations, and so that's really what I'm here for. So I work with students one-on-one on figuring out a schedule for you. Fortunately, with how GEM is designed is we're on a quarter system. It's 3 months long. So if you do have to take a term off, you're not sitting out an entire 16-week semester. It's only 3 months, and then you can jump back in again, and I'll work with you on a plan on what classes take, how to be reintegrated into your classes, and things like that. So again, we want to be flexible. The average age of our students is 34. And so we know you have a lot going on in life, and really that's what I'm here for as your advisor. All right, and the last question is how much is tuition and what are my payment options? Are there scholarships, grants, or VA benefits available? So the tuition for the program is $54,000, and that is a set rate for in-state and out-of-state students. So it's the same for everyone across the board, and that does include all of your tuition and your fees as well. The only thing additional to that you'll be paying for is textbooks, and the professors and the administration really tries to keep those costs down, offering a lot of online materials and things like that so that it doesn't become unwieldy and you're stuck with books that cost $500 that you can't sell back. So we try to keep costs to a minimum that way. And how the tuition is set up too is that you pay as you go. So it's not like you have to pay $54,000 straight off the bat. It's $4,500 per course, and you pay as you register. There is financial aid options available for people. We have a wonderful financial aid office and representative that works specifically with the GEM program, and she's here to help you navigate that process. We have a lot of students who use VA benefits as well, and our Veteran Services office is amazing. They're really fantastic in making sure that you're getting the most out of your benefits, including monthly stipends and money towards books. So we're always happy to work with veterans and making sure that you get the most out of your benefits. And then as far as scholarships and grants, that is something that we are working on developing, is getting more support from the industry and having them invest in our students. So that's something that I would say stay tuned for. We do have students that there is scholarships basically through the university that you can receive based on different criteria that I encourage you to apply for. I'm always happy to share that information. So there's tons of ways to help pay for the program. And like I said, it's kind of, as pay as you go situation. All right, Glenn.
Yep. All right, Michelle, thank you so much. And yeah, a lot of great insight there. And I told you she was much more of an eloquent speaker than I was. Now you have the proof. All right, so we're just going to take a couple more minutes here to go over a couple other details that I want to share with everyone here before we go. The first one here that I just quickly want to have everyone take a look at is the application process. I know I talked about this a little bit here, but just to give some perspective, there are 4 mini essays, about a paragraph each. There's a $50 application fee. The references, transcripts, we can even use unofficial transcripts initially as well with that. But I think the big thing here is that I actually help you with the application process. We do a lot of communication with it too to make sure that your file's in the best shape possible and you have all your questions answered as well, so there's no doubt, and that it goes very smoothly too. And as I mentioned, I have a lot of students that sometimes do it in under a week or in a couple weeks, so it's as quick as you want it to be, and that's what allows us to work with some students, quote unquote, last minute up until about a week or so before classes start. And then lastly here as well, I want everyone to know of a couple upcoming events that we have and a chance to really learn more about the program. So if you are in the Denver area, we have a couple of great things coming up with our Prospective Student Happy Hour, which will be June 6th. So it'll be next Thursday here right across the street at a great little bar here called Roosevelt, right off 15th and Lawrence, and you can email or contact me for details. But also we have our cohort weekend coming up here for our 21st class. I know I put there we're accepting applications until June 30th, but I'd say really probably more like about July 4th or 5th. We can be flexible on that. And as I mentioned, I would help you with that too, so you can contact me with any questions. But one great thing that we have started to offer, and that helps with a lot of perspective of what it's like to be a student, is our class observation. So you can actually go ahead and sit in on a class for an hour or two to find out what's it really like to be a student. What is the cohort like? What are the different demographics? What am I learning? What am I getting from this? And this really helps you give a firsthand experience of that, and you can even connect with a few students as well too, if you like. All right, well, that is going to be a wrap up for today's webcast. I want to thank everyone so much for coming. Essentially, the Q&A session we just did this whole time, so you can have it right there. As I mentioned, you can give me a call here at 303-315-8064 is my direct line, or email me at glenn.engelberg@ucdenver.edu for any questions or information. And I really hope that these past about 25 minutes or so has been helpful to get really to the heart of what matters to most of our students, because we've been working with all of you, and I love doing so for the past 10 years, and we know what matters. So take care. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.